Okay, welcome everybody to the webinar of Beijer Electronics in regards public bus transportation, specifically communication systems in public bus transportation. Today your presenters are Sander de Boer, that's myself. I'm responsible for sales in the Benelux countries. And we have also Rico Lim. This is our communication specialist. So what we will cover today is, in this webinar, is we will look into the future trends for public transportation, how we can help you to set up your smart bus infrastructure. We will also discuss a little bit about the common pain points and challenges you are facing with installing a system. Of course, we also will explain how we can support you. And we have some example of use cases. So let's start from here then. So Beijer Electronics and Korenix are part of the Beijer Electronics group, as you can see below on the picture. Korenix is a leading manufacturing since 2004. And at the end of last year, we decided to work even more together, and we strengthen our cooperation on strategic points like supply chain, sales, and also product development. So that's why we are presenting this now. So let's go on. And in the end, of course, we provide innovative, market-oriented, value-focused industrial wired and wireless networking solutions for you. So we are busy in busy in a lot of segments. The main ones are marine, manufacturing, energy, and infrastructure. And of course, there are a lot of sub-segments we are also active in. But what we show here is that we are busy in a lot of industry applications. If we look a little bit more in detail, if you look to the infrastructure, for example, where we do a major part of our Korenix sales, you can think about tunnels, bridges, water slots, but also public transport systems, airports, freeways, rail stations, and so on. Or think, for example, about wastewater, where you need, of course, also camera surveillance. But also that is also applicable for all the other segments and industries, industrial applications where you are active in. In every, we learned that in every industrial application, you also need almost everywhere camera surveillance systems these days. And on the right side, you see some important certifications for specific industries. So the future of public transportation. And of course, we are focusing on bus communication systems today. So a growing population demands modern public systems. We need advanced technology to manage that all. So you see what is required is innovation and improvement of infrastructure to get better services, and especially what is still very important is to lower the greenhouse emissions. So some future trends where we looked in. We checked several resources, of course, also our own experience. And what you see is, if you look, for example, to the European Union, they are looking to invest approximately 150 million for intelligent transportation systems and other new technologies. So there is a lot of investment for smart traffic management systems. And then the second one is mobility as a service. And what we mean by that is last mile transportation. So think about scooter services if you come out of the station, or Uber, for example, the taxi service. that kind of things. There's a lot of investment in that as well, and the valuation of this market segment is 235 billion by 2027. And then the third one, zero emission buses. EU Parliament has already approved plans for that to at least curb carbon pollution by 30% in 2030. If you look to the current pandemic of the COVID-19 virus, then you see also new systems emerging, like ultraviolet disinfection robots, and also face mask detection if you enter a station or a vehicle. So this is what we find. So let's go on to the public bus solution in this case. So buses are still one of the key infrastructures in smart city. It's because of its mobility, accessibility, responsiveness, trustiness. It's safe. Already mentioned, easy accessible, and it's connecting the people all the time. And if you look more deeper in the application for a bus system, then you see that the networking providers looking for anti-vibration compliance certificates like E-Mark. Very important. But also, for example, IT and PT solutions. So buses are still very important. If you look to the EU countries, then it's still an integral part of the public transport system. And more than half of the EU countries have more than 10% of their population still traveling by bus. And it's the primary mode of travel, especially in the eastern and the southern countries. So just to wrap up a little bit, EU has been in the forefront to push this development, to have cleaner transportation options. As mentioned, already approved plans are in place to curb the carbon pollution by 30%, not only for trucks, but for all heavy-duty vehicles in 2030. If you look to the Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, for example, 25% of all public buses should be zero emission by 2025. And one case of my own region is Amsterdam. In 2030, they want to have a complete emission-free city in this case. This is not an approved plan, but you see that the development is ongoing and pushed very hard. So some common pains that our customers face when they are planning installations for bus communication systems. So we reached out to the customers, asked questions, of course. We also implemented a couple of systems in the last few years. And what we cut out of it, what were the prevalent ones of the common pains and gripes. Onboard conditions are not uniform or abundant. That means different voltage ranges on board. Different vehicles comes with different power, limited space for cable routing, but also, for example, if you look to the hardware installation, limited space or very time-consuming cable connections. Like, for example, with the N12, you need to screw it on, and it takes a lot of time. If you look, for example, to the energy consumption challenges, you see that you have to face environmental regulations for energy consumption. There are more devices on board that are requesting power. And for example, if you have cold weather, that's affecting battery power. And then the third one, requirements due to regulations. There are a lot of regulations in place, or you face a lot of regulations, and then it's the question, what do you need to use, and what is your customer requesting from you? And we can help you by that. And the last one, security challenges. Of course, you want to have a safe network in your bus, and you want to prevent any unauthorized access. So some feature highlights. So we can talk now a little bit about our product solutions, what we can offer you. So some feature highlights in that regard is, for example, our unmanaged M12 switches, wall mount in this case, specifically built for vehicles. You can see one of our features, if you look to the rotary switch, you can, although it's unmanaged, you can set power and you can set the standby mode for 2, 5 or 50 minutes. And I come back later to that. So the ignition voltage is known. You see on the left side, you see the picture, how that works. And then you can, depending on that, your system will go in standby mode, depending on how you, how you configure it. So some other key features about power over Ethernet to power your devices in the bus, like displays or cameras, for example, or validation systems. So we can offer you per port power budget. That means you can set a maximum budget per port, and this prevents malfunctioning of your power device, of course. We have an overheat protection, so we have a thermal sensor, and that warns in case of overheating. You can set the low or the high or the critical priority power devices. That means that it first shuts down your low priority device. So your primary ones will just keep on functioning. And then we have power over Ethernet on demand. Just easily schedule your power devices in regards a time period. And then the last one is our patented one. It's the keep alive check for the power device. So in case of power device is not responding to the alive check, the power source equipment will just restart a couple of times to get it back functioning. We have some new development, push-pull connector implementation. I show you later on. First of all, I want to look in more in detail, for example, on our connectors. In this case, for the fast Ethernet communication, we use decode connectors, M12. And for the gigabit Ethernet, we use Xcode. It's not so common for a bus system to configure a redundancy, a link redundancy system, like you see in other industrial applications. Of course, you want to have a high availability network. You can normally create it by having dual power input, having link redundancy, or even have dual device redundancy managed by a VRRP router. In this case, we have a hardware bypass. That means in case of input power failure or the switch goes down, then still the switches that are in the link on both sides will still work due to this. So this creates high availability for your network. And this is how the new M12 push-pull connectors work. So you see, it's just push, click, and you're done. And the nice thing is, this saves, of course, a lot of installation time. And the nice thing is that it will also work, it's also backwards compatible. So it will also work with the normal screw connectors because they are inside. So this is a nice new development. Later on, we will provide you a product reference. We will not go through in this webinar, but we will provide you a product reference that you can download and that you can have a look which one are carrying this, this solution. So some cybersecurity features to just make sure that your you don't have unauthorized access to your switches. Of course, in case of unmanaged, you need to take care of the fact that you have the right physical security on your cabinets. But in this case, we talk about managed switches, and we just give you some examples. Like MAC filtering, you can whitelist your devices using their MAC address. Basically, it means that you just type in the MAC address of a specific device that has access to the network. IP filtering, same, but then based on IP addresses. And we can also create some ingress or egress rules based on specific protocols that, for example, a passenger in a bus is allowed to have access to. And then we also have 802.1x, that's port-based authentication. So you work with an authentication server, and you only have access when this server authenticates you. So we have some application examples. These are real cases, but it's not an official case. So what kind of applications we did in the past. So the first one is onboard surveillance, camera surveillance. Why was this customer using Korenix? As you can see on the picture, that's the topology. We used our DC to DC power booster technology. This means that we have our input range from 9 to 36 volt, and then we boost it to 54 volt to provide stable power over Ethernet feeding for all the power devices. We have our power ignition management, the one I already showed earlier. So in the case the engine is turned off, but the entire vehicle system is still on, the feature will set the power switch to off automatically after a certain time to prevent the battery of running out. And you saw in the former slide that there are specific settings. Of course, in the managed switch, you can do it via the web interface. In the unmanaged switch, you can use the rotary switch that's available. Why did they choose us back then is also because of the certificates that were in place. So the 1555, 1521, and also, of course, E-mark, that's almost every time a demand. So another case, bus surveillance with a wire solution. This is our dual MIMO technology. It's LTE combined with Wi-Fi. This means, as you can see, when the bus is on the road, it's connected via 4G or even 3 or 2G because it's backwards compatible. We have high bandwidth with 150 MB downlink and 50 MB uplink. And as you can see, if it enters the bus station, it will just shift to Wi-Fi to offload data. It provides full gigabit for the cameras. It provides 4 high power over Ethernet ports to a maximum of 120 watts. And of course, we have also the requested power input for bus systems, 12 to 36 volt DC. This is another case where we were busy with. Very interesting, by the way. This is our unmanaged power over Ethernet switch we use here. Full gigabit with dual power. Why did they choose Korenix? Because we can offer full gigabit power over Ethernet, dual power input, but also again E-mark and IT and PT certification. And in this case, this was a network for a validation system. When you enter the bus, you can just scan your card and you will be charged. It was used for display and also for the camera system. So unmanaged, but with a high bandwidth. And already mentioned, but I will do it again, make sure your cabinets are physically secured as well in this kind of solutions. So this one is one from Sweden. we did. We provide Wi-Fi for passengers in the bus using our DHCP server. We did some traffic shaping to limit the traffic, that everybody get a small size of the bandwidth and not one gets all. And in this case, we also won because our great local support from Beijer Sweden. And again, eMark was a request. We also want to show you some other transportation applications we did, but very shortly. And the first one is a train passenger information system. As you can see, it's 4G, it's a cellular solution. So in this case, it's wireless and wired integration with a high throughput, 1555 certified, and a connection over 4G to provide information to the passengers at the rail site. And in this case, this is a train communication network. Looks a little bit the same, but the main difference is that here we also routing the data. And in this case, it's not cellular, but it's a Wi-Fi connection when the train enters the station. So again, high throughput, 1555 certified. And you see all the devices we are connected with: LED displays, cameras, speakers, DVRs, etc. And then I think this is the latest one, just an example, but it's also a real case. Here we put in our power over Ethernet injectors to power the devices. And in this case, the connection to the control room, we use our rack mount switch with an 128 gigabyte store and forward backplane. So we can process very heavy data in this case. And we also applied our Beijer Electronics HMI in this case to use it as an authentication for employees to enter specific security zones. And you see also that we implemented the Wi-Fi and rail information connection for passengers. So I think what's very important in this case, and that's also what we want to tell you, is that we can help you in every part of the solution. So from request to coming up with some kind of pre-sale solution to a site survey. So in a case to look what's there in the current situation, or is it completely new build? We can do Wi-Fi site surveys as well. We can do cellular site surveys. So we can help you in a complete journey to get your perfect system for the specific situation, not only for bus systems, but all other systems as well. And in case you order from us, we can also help you with the commissioning. And we can also deploy our field application engineers to help you, to train you on the job, or to help you with the configuration as well. So we have that all in place. So if you need specific help for logical configuration, don't, just ask us, so to say. Don't hesitate. That was the word I was looking after. So just a summary. Why should you choose the data communication solutions from Beijer Electronics? As already mentioned, we offer industrial grade quality. That means we offer switches with industrial grade components. Think about high temperature, vibration, etc. We offer also cybersecurity embedded solutions. We offer fast recovery redundancy. It can be on specific. That can be on several. We can do that in several ways. I'm sorry. Think about dual power input. Think about link redundancy protocols. Think about redundant device management by VRRP, for example. And we have the full network management. Think about complete visualization of your network using our network management systems. What makes it very easy for you to focus immediately in case of a failure. Where is the fault? Or where should I go to what region, and how can I solve it quickly? Is it a power outage? Is it a link fault, etc.? What we made for you is, okay, we have a sheet with contact details, so you can always reach us also when this webinar is finished. And we also set up a product reference for you, where you can look in later on. Thank you very much all. If you have questions later on, please come back to us. So thanks and have a very nice day.